so it's
Okay,
gonna be on
it's
YouTube.
streaming on YouTube. Okay, great. So last week, on Thursday, those of you who were in the class, we reread or we listened to the discourse, Sutta number 41 in the Majjhima Nikaya. Um, it was the a discourse to the Brahmins of Sala, and the Buddha talked about 10 qualities that we should have that would ensure a fortunate rebirth. Now, they were asking him, um, they said, Buddha, you declare this world with its gods, its Maras, and its Brahmins, this generation with its recluses and Brahmins, its princes and its people, and teach a Dharma that's good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end with the right meaning and phrasing, and reveals a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. Now, it is good that we see people like you. And so they sat down and they asked him for a discourse course. And the question they had is, um, Master Gotama, what is the cause and condition why some beings here on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in states of deprivation, in an unhappy destination, in perdition, even in hell? And what is the cause and condition why some beings here on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in a happy destination, even in the heavenly world? And the Buddha responded, householder, it is by reason of conduct, not in accordance with the Dharma, by reason of unrighteous conduct, that some beings here on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in states of deprivation, in an unhappy destination, in perdition, even in hell. And it is by reason of conduct in accordance with the Dharma, by reason of righteous conduct, that some beings here on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in a happy destination, even in the heavenly worlds. And they said, we don't understand. It said, we don't understand the detailed meaning of your utterance, uh, which you have spoken in brief without responding in detailed meaning. So it would be good if you would teach us the Dharma so that we might understand the detailed meaning of your utterance. And he went on and he said that there are three kinds of bodily conduct not in accordance with the Dharma. There are four kinds of verbal conduct not in accordance with the Dharma, and there are three kinds of mental conduct not in accordance with the Dharma. And these constitute um, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 unrighteous acts or aspects of conduct in body, speech, and mind. And so it kind of parallels with his Dharma talk to the people of Bamboo Gate. And they said almost the very same things. And he responded to them a little bit differently. They said that it is you teach a Dharma that's good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing, and you reveal a holy life that's perfect, complete, and pure. It is good to see people like you. And they said, Master Gotama, we have such wishes, desires, and hopes as these. May we dwell in a home crowded with children. May we enjoy sandalwood. May we wear garlands, scents, and unguents. May we receive gold and silver. With the breakup of the body after death, may we be reborn in a good destination, in a heavenly world. And as we have such wishes, desires, and hopes, let Master Gotama teach us the Dharma in such a way that we might dwell in a home crowded with children, that we may enjoy sandalwood, that we may wear garlands, scents, and unguents, that we may receive gold and silver, and still, with the breakup of the body, that we may be reborn in a good destination in a heavenly world. He said, I will teach you, householders, a Dharma exposition applicable to oneself. Listen to that and attend closely, and I will speak. And he began to talk to them. And in this particular sutta, he talked about the 5 precepts. Now, and everybody knows the 5 precepts, so I'm not going to go over the 5 precepts. But what was interesting, and the point of my conversation with you today, is, and he counted these actually as 7 good qualities, and these 4 desirable states, which were the 10 good qualities that he referenced in the Majjhima Nikaya in Sutta number 41. And I'm sorry, this is in the Samyutta Nikaya, the great book, paragraph 7, the people of Bamboo Gate. Now, when you put the 2 of them together, they ask the same main question, but the people at the Bamboo Gate were a little bit more specific. They didn't just say, what do I need to do? Why they, the Brahmins asked, why are some people born in unfortunate destination, and why are some people born in fortunate destination after death, after the breakup of the body? But the people of the Bamboo Gate, they went a little bit further than that. They said, not only why are you born from a range, from a hell realm to the most sublime heavenly realms, but can you teach us a Dharma that we can get to one of those sublime heavenly realms, and at the same time, we don't have to become monastic, that we enjoy our wives, our husbands, our children, our money, our careers, and he said, listen, I will give you a Dharma. I will give you a Dharma for that. And so sometimes we are thinking in our mind that something is required of us because of our sense of urgency and because of our commitment and dedication to knowing the Dharma, but the causes and conditions don't come together in exactly the way that we imagine they have to, or we've been told they have to, in order for us to reach our goal. And so by stepping into some of those roles or pretending to be that, we actually miss the mark that we're trying to reach by stepping into it. Are you with me? Today, as I was at the store working, and we were unpacking some things, and and actually we have fun with that, because I'm looking at these things, and I haven't been like a shopper for like more than 20 years, and I'm just amazed, at the amount of junk that that people feel like they need to buy. I mean, I really am. I'm even feeling a little bit guilty. Like, am I participating in something here that's definitely not good? Of course, if you're gonna do it, if we can make that possible so that you can reserve more of your money for what you really need it for, then that's a good thing too. So you can just kind of figure out how to balance things out in your own mind, and leave people be, let them live as they wish, the same way we like to live as we wish. Now, if somebody asks you a question, you can answer the question. But if they haven't asked you a question, there's nothing you can answer for them. They would just be meddling, right? Um, so I was just amazed at the things that people think they need, and how some people come into the store every day, um, and always find something else that they need. But one lady came in today who'd been in every single day since we opened. So that's 7 days in a row that she's been in there. She said, now, the other day when I came in here, I was like looking for a bargain the first day, and I found bargains. She said, a couple of days later when I came in here, I was just looking for things that I might want. And, everything's so affordable in here. I just got it. Today she came in, she says, I'm just coming for the things I need today. you know, and I said, well, that's wonderful. That's why we're open, for the things you need and the things that you want. And that was it. So sometimes we think there's something that we need or something that we want within the spiritual realm, or within spiritual mechanisms, because we have read something, or even we have experienced something that has touched us so deeply that we feel there's no other way to penetrate. And so then there's this clash um, of one's wish and maybe what one's capability or one's deeper wish. These clash, and we try to live a double life, and you can fool some people some of the time. You can, fool most of the people. I forget how it goes. Most of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. It's like that. But most of all, we cannot fool ourselves. And so there's a suffering that occurs when we are trying to be something that we're not. And there's a confusion that sets in, and a lot of this is because of misunderstanding um, the full counsel of the Dharma, and really searching out and finding one's place in it, and not being ashamed or afraid to be where we are, and not esteeming others less than yourself, and not esteeming others more highly than yourself. So it doesn't matter to what degree um, others hold me. What matters is the degree to which I walk in my own integrity. Now, that's not to say that I am uh, always perfect, but it is to say I know when I am acting righteously, and I know when I am not. And it's to want thine own self be true. Now, other people benefit from it when you're truthful, um, but the greatest benefit is for us coming to some clarity about our own path, our own walk, our own level of understanding, and our own great wish. And when we walk out of step with that, it becomes difficult for us to see. After a while, it becomes difficult for us to see ourselves. It becomes difficult um, to be admonished. It becomes difficult uh, to even be willing to look, because we know all the right things to say, you know. Um, and some spiritual power has been gained. And so if there are those who are less knowledgeable and less developed than us, we know how to use our words, that if somebody sees something, we know how to like fix that all up. So it's not like what you see, or it's not like what you think. You just don't understand because you're just a babe in the Dharma. And so the bottom line is that karma is not at all a punishment, but it is just simply the fruit of our actions. And one way to minimize karma um, that is not so pleasant, the karma that is painful, is to learn from our mistakes. And sometimes we have to repeat them several times. One day you wake up like, I got this. I've got this lesson. But the other side is to really know the Dharma in its fullness, constantly posing the question and waiting for the truth to reveal itself. And being eager and anxious to apprehend it, not being apprehensive to apprehend it, because like we don't want to know the answer because we sort of have an idea, but just like being, and it's not going to be that good for us, but just really being anxious, or not anxious in a bad way, but anxious in a good way to know the truth, knowing that ultimately, when we really get it and get it right, um, there will be no more suffering, even though we encounter things in life. And instead of things stumbling us, we would like just whoop, step right over and keep walking. Now, that doesn't mean that everything works out perfectly for you or your long lost friend or your present partner, that you're going to be reconciled with you because I've seen the light, or because I understand, or because I'm standing in a place of right view. No, it doesn't mean that at all. But what it does mean is that one begins to clearly see the difference between what we call the reality of a situation and what is a story that is imputed by from the outside. So in other words, you don't determine my world, and I don't determine your world. I determine my world by the views that I hold and how I piece together what I see and what I think is happening right now. And it's a great freedom, and it's a great liberation when one can rely upon the Dharma in that way, because the Dharma saves you from others, and that understanding of the Dharma saves you even from yourself. And so he constantly points them back to the Dhamma. When he's teaching something, he doesn't say, and I, the Buddha, you know, say this, or, he doesn't point to himself other than listen and I will speak. But what will I speak to you about? I will speak to you of the Dhamma. So even he related it all back, not your teacher, even though he said, I am your teacher. On another occasion, when they started hanging on that too much, he said, when did I ever say I was your teacher? And it's, oh, the Buddha told a tale. It's not like that. He's really pointing to the misunderstanding, misperception, wrong characterization that underlies the word. So many times you'll say something and if you just literally took the words, you walk away with a wrong understanding. But if you have enough vision to see that he was dealing with the intentions of the comments or the thoughts that one was harboring that made them draw a particular map of reality, then you'd understand what he was actually saying, and you could interpret the words, or like with the right phrasing, he said, and with the right meaning. So the thing that I found so interesting in the Sutta is that they did speak about wanting upon death, and I think the way that they actually said it is by reason of righteous conduct or unrighteous conduct that some beings hear on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in a happy destination, even a heavenly world, or an unhappy destination in perdition and even in hell. He didn't say, oh, you got wrong thing. There's no heaven and there's no hell. He didn't say, oh, you have the wrong understanding. There's only here and now, and there is nothing after this. He didn't say, oh, you don't exist, that there's, there's only processes. So we come up with all these things that we're saying that the Buddha said. He's like very clear. I mean, he's very clear in his speech. If you read enough of it, you will begin to piece together. He's not saying that. So when we're talking about non-self, no self, not self, emptiness, or we're not talking about disappearing, not existing, or being something other than who we are, because there is we are firmly right here in this body, and it's only through this body as a laboratory or the doorway to experience can we know our true selves. He's just saying like you're just leaning in the wrong direction, but there is something that's really there. And if we think that it's not, we start cutting off in a way that sounds intellectually superior, but it's dumb. And we will start not being able to handle our affairs of life, the vicissitudes of life, because we will walk around in a superior kind of stupor, and we will have wasted a precious human life, but just going through the motions and the trappings and the look like, and never inherit the fruit thereof. So now he's talking to the Brahmin on one hand, and he's talking to the lay people on the other hand, and it doesn't. And they're both householders, but one is of the highest, supposedly spiritual, noble class of society, and the others were just, or like ordinary householders, not of the Brahmin caste. And he didn't talk to the Brahmin caste and say, well, first you have to abandon all your casteism. He didn't, he didn't talk to the ordinary class and say, first you have to get your equal rights. He didn't, those were things that were the repercussions of the unwholesome virtues. And he says that if one learns what is wholesome and then agrees that they want to do what is wholesome, because one's will is involved. Most of the things that we don't step into is not because we don't believe it, not because we didn't wish we had it, but just we're not willing to do it right now. We're not willing to do it right now. It's like, I want to be all happy, loving, but not today. I have something I need to take care of. And so the willingness part is a huge, huge part of it. And the reason why we stumble so often, and we can come up with all of these conversations around habitual tendencies and yada, yada, yada. But the truth of the matter is there is something in the way we move, something in the action that we're taking that has for us in our state of dysfunction, if we're going to do unwholesome things, has some sort of gratification. And that's the only reason that we do it, because it still has some sort of gratification. But when that is no longer gratifying, nobody has to say to us, abandon that. We let it go. We don't want it, And so we have to be careful not to use the excuses that we have been given for habitual tendencies and neural pathways, and all of that's good. All of that's good. I'm not saying any of that is not true, but what I'm saying is sometimes you just want to lay an axe to the root of a vine that's choking the life out of the tree. And the way to do that is to recognize ultimately what is the holdup, and that is there is some kind of gratification. that one gets. Sometimes it seems hard to imagine that there could be gratification. For instance, let's say a person who is maybe uh, sick all the time, or so even sometimes they're very sick and they need tending to, but sometimes they're a little bit sick and they want the attention, the gratification that comes with, oh, I feel so sorry for you, oh, what can I do to help you? And there's that little bit of gratification and they're like, hey, they noticed me today at least, so that's something. I'm not invisible, you know. Oh, I need a little love today. So if I'm pitiful today, somebody loves me today. Or, and I don't know what your poison is. I just know what mine is. And I know when I'm taking a swig, you know, and I also know that there is a gratification there. Now, sometimes the pull is so strong that even when we're saying somebody hold me back, hold me back, hold me back. But the discipline, the training is so that we can restrain ourselves with the restraint of the patimokkha, with the restraint of the vows that we take. And that's why taking a vow is so important. I'm not talking about taking monastic vows, but whenever one purposes within their heart and their mind that they will do this or that they won't do that, and keep reminding themselves. I mean, taking that vow is important because when you go against it, you get pricked in your own heart. You get pricked in your own conscience. You get pricked in your own mind. I made that vow. And there's two ways to respond to that. One is through contrition and humility. And the other is with bravado, puffed upness, and it's your fault. And which one actually brings the relief? Try them both out and see which one makes you just feel better. There's nothing wrong with feeling better. And in time, we can begin to acknowledge, what leads us towards our heart's desire and what leads us away from it. And that the only obstacle, the only obstacle that we have is ourselves. We are the only obstacle. How powerful it is to know that my happiness, my triumph, my victory is not dependent upon you. And that yours is not dependent upon me. That we both live and move and have our being within the same Dharma. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It gives us some place to go when we're perplexed and don't know how we got the way we got or stepped into what we've stepped into. But more important than that, it shows us the way out. That with every temptation, there is a way of escape. If we're looking for it, if we really want it, and if that way of escape has a benefit for us that outweighs the views of the ego that conceal, that hide, that duck and dodge. You see, it's the ego that tries to make us think these things are so necessary, that we can't survive without it. Constantly hearing people talk about ego and how you need to have a healthy ego. You know, we don't even have to mention the word ego. We have enough of it without even talking about it and proclaiming anything healthy about it. You know, we, because enough of it is there to cause us to be born in a human existence. That's how we can know. And even when we appear to not have a healthy ego, we still have a big ego, even though it may not be um, uh, presenting itself in what we assume to be a healthy way. For instance, uh, sometimes if a person's always feeling put out, always feeling misunderstood, always feeling blamed, always feeling invisible, always feeling accused, that's just always something about me is not happening for me the way I think it should happen. And I'm so sad. I'm what's that word? Oh, suicidal. I'm depressed. Because it's still all about them. Is what I'm saying to you. And that's the trick sometimes of the ego. If it can't get you being boastful and proud, it'll get you being humble and religious or spiritual, or it will get you being self-deprecating. But all of it is the same, just different faces of the same thing. And so he says that in this world, with its gods, its Maras, its Brahmas, this generation with its recluses and Brahmins, its princes and its people, he teaches the Dharma. That's good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, in this world. And he starts talking about different classifications of beings, and then he talks about different classifications of human beings. So he talks about human beings in that strata, and then he also talks about classification of various beings in this world and in that strata. But this is the part that I like about it. It says, and you read both of them. One talks about 7 qualities, and the other talks about 10 qualities. And go figure, he talks about the same things, except he broke it down into 7 parts in one and 10 parts in another. And one time there was this great dispute about what the Buddha had said. And they were trying to recall exactly what he had said. Excuse me. And the disciples got into a dispute because one said, no, he talked about the 10 this. And he said, no, he said it was the 3 that. And he said, no, he said it was the 7 other. He said, yeah, well, one time when I talked about it, I did speak of it as in 10 parts, in 10 stages. Another time in 3 stages. Another time in 7 stages. He said, and, and I may have done it because this group I was talking to, they needed more explanation. So they needed it broken down a little bit more. He said, well, this one really understood it well. And so I collapsed them. They only needed 3, it needed broken down into 3 stages. So we should not get, when we do exams, they ask things like this: what's the 10 this, the 4 that, the 16 the other? That's why I'm scared of those kind of exams, because I'm liable to fail him, and somebody think I don't know the Dharma. But it's that he spoke to whoever he was speaking to. He said it continually with the right meaning, with the right shading, so that they who those who were in front of him could understand. But here he says, I think I'm going to read it out of 40, 41. 41 is a little bit longer than in the great book. If householders after he talked about the five precepts and the seven qualities, which were the five precepts broken down into seven qualities. So, householders, it is by reason of such conduct in accordance with the Dharma, by reason of such righteous conduct, that some beings here on dissolution of the body after death reappear in a happy destination. And I think maybe just in case somebody here doesn't know what these are, I'm going to go ahead and, in brief, um, tell you. There are three kinds of bodily conduct not in accordance with the Dharma. There are four kinds of verbal conduct not in accordance, and there are three kinds of mental conduct not in accordance. The three kinds of bodily conduct. Here, someone kills living beings. He is murderous, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless to living beings. He also takes what is not given, or one takes what is not given. He takes by way of theft the wealth and the property of others in the village or the forest. He misconducts himself in sensual pleasures. He has intercourse with women who are protected by their relatives or protected by law or by principle. Those are the three kinds of bodily conduct: through killing, through taking what is not given, or taking someone else's wealth or reputation. And you can break that down into as many subcategories as you want to. Um, and Sexual misconduct. And how householders are there four kinds of verbal conduct not in accord with the Dharma. Someone speaks a falsehood when summoned to a court or to a meeting or to a royal family's presence and questioned as a witness. Thus, so good man, tell what you know, and not knowing he says I know, or knowing he says I do not know. In full awareness, he speaks a falsehood for his own ends or for another's ends. And so now these are the little foxes that spoil the vine. It's like if someone comes to you with a question, you say, "Oh, I don't know, sister," but one does actually know. One may have even been complicit in it, but then they say, I don't know. Oh, I didn't know that." And they're thinking this is the right thing because, to even tell it, I'd be gossiping. Not having enough discernment to know when one is speaking a falsehood. Or I won't say not having enough discernment, one actually having enough and know that they're speaking a falsehood. So we dance all around that, mostly because, like, if I want to stay friends with my friend, I don't want to get involved. We can come up with all of our reasons, but usually they're tied into our filial relationship with someone, and and when you fall down that rabbit hole, well, first of all, people won't believe you. That's number one. Number two, you won't be trusted, and and then you'll be mad because you're not trusted, or your feelings hurt because you're not trusted. But you're just found untrustworthy because you'll say whatever's the nicest thing to say, so that instead of just letting your yes be yes and your no be no. And in that way, we become unable in time to speak truthfully because we develop that habitual tendency of covering, of fudging, and not taking care of matters while they're small until they get so big they're insurmountable. He said he speaks maliciously. He repeats elsewhere what he has heard, not just repeating what he has heard, but repeating it in order to divide those people from these people, or to divide these people from those people. A creator of divisions who enjoys discord delights in discord. Or he speaks harshly. He utters such words that are rough, they're hard, they're hurtful to others, offensive, bordering on anger, unconducive to concentration. Or he's a gossip, speaks at the wrong time, and speaks what is not a fact, or speaks what is useless, or speaks contrary to the Dharma, and speaks contrary to the discipline. Or he speaks at the wrong time, or he speaks words that are worthless, useless, unreasonable, immoderate, unbeneficial. These are the four kinds of verbal conduct. And how householder are there three kinds of mental conduct not in accordance with the Dharma? Here, someone is covetous. He covers the wealth, the property, maybe the reputation of others. Um, oh, may what belongs to another be mine. Or he has a mind of ill will and intentions of hate. Thus, may these beings be slain and slaughtered. May this person be cut off, perished, or annihilated. Or he has a wrong view or distorted vision. Thus, there's nothing given, nothing offered, nothing sacrificed. Now, sometimes we speak about that, nothing given and nothing offered, but generosity of heart, of purpose, of substance is the first thing that the Buddha teaches. So it doesn't mean that there is nothing, and there is no merit, no virtue in giving. But he speaks of the attitude in which one gives, that one does not have the notion I am giving or I am doing. Because it's right there where the view gets distorted and the vision gets distorted. He says there's the one who says there's no this world, no other world, no father, no mother, no beings who are reborn spontaneously, no good or bad virtuous recluses in the world who have themselves realized by direct knowledge and declare this world and the other world. So he speaks of this world and he speaks of the other world. Like now we're in this one. And we are in this one because we possess the qualities that create the resonance for there to be an appearance in this world. So it's no point in us thinking we're any better than the robbers, the murderers, the thieves, on and on and on, because we're right here. We're right here with them. But we can use this time in such a way. He's telling us now just these 7 things. Just these 7 things. We all know what they are. This is enough. These 7 things. Well, that's 7 I've given you. So there's a total of 10, right? Mental conduct. These are the last 3. So the first 3 were body, right? The second 4 were 4 kinds of speech, and sometimes he's broken that up into 8 kinds of speech. That's why we talk about like when we're doing taking the 5 precepts, we talk about right speech and avoiding wrong speech, but then it starts breaking it down to harsh speech, malicious speech, lying, gossip, frivolous speech, and uh, just break it down into as small of a bite as you need that you can swallow it. It says. But there are those in this world, virtuous, who have themselves realized by direct knowledge and do declare this world and the other world. And of course, the Buddha was one of those who made that declaration. Now, the end of this whole talk is where I wanted to get, and we're right on time with it. He said, if householders, one who observes conduct in accordance with the Dharma, righteous conduct, should wish, oh, that on the dissolution of the body after death, well, let me read the paragraph before. And how householders are 3 kinds of mental conduct. Good mental conduct is you don't covet the things, the wealth, the reputation, the property of others, that you don't, that your mind is without ill will, and you have an intention free from hate. Um, then he has right view, undistorted vision. Thus, that is how there are 3 kinds of mental conduct. So householders, it is by reason of such conduct in accordance with the Dharma. Notice how it's just repeating again and again, so you can really get it. By reason of such righteous conduct, that some beings here on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in a happy destination, even in the heavenly worlds. If householder, one who observes conduct in accordance with the Dharma, this righteous conduct, should wish, oh, that upon dissolution of the body after death, might I reappear in the company of well-to-do nobles, it is possible that he will reappear in the company of well-to-do nobles. Why is that? Because he observes conduct that is in accordance with dharmic conduct, with dharma, righteous conduct. If householders, one who observes conduct in accordance with the Dharma, righteous conduct, should wish, oh, in the dissolution of the body after death, might I reappear in the company of well-to-do Brahmins, then he just might, because of righteous conduct. Or it's possible that he will reappear in the company of well-to-do householders. Why is that? Because he observes conduct that is in accordance with the Dharma. So somebody said that, you know, uh, when one is wealthy, they always talk about, like almost like a negative around having wealth, so that people feel guilty for even having good fortune in life. They feel guilty because they have something. A lot of times they're giving things away because they feel so guilty because they have. You can give things away and help people without feeling guilty. You don't have to feel guilty about it. You should recognize that there's no way that you can have certain things except that there was some condition that was set up in the mind stream that allowed the accumulation of wealth in that way. Now, if you use it in a bad way, then there's also something setting up in the mind stream, that will be unwholesome, and depending on who wins that war, it sets you on or that mind stream on a certain trajectory or in a certain direction. But you just can't assume that when people have wealth that it's ill-gotten gain, and you can't assume that when people don't have wealth, it's because they, had an unfortunate rebirth, or they had bad karma, because it's not tied in that way. And so if you are the one who has means, then learn how to use it, and without feeling guilty. um, Consider yourself blessed, and use what you have to share your wealth. It's not like mine, all mine. But when one stops clinging to it as if it is, then one finds a spaciousness of heart, a generosity, of mind that truly frees and truly liberates. And then you're wealthy beyond measure, because it's like the whole world is your oyster, and you have nothing that you have to watch over so hard and to protect so hard, because this is my little territory, my little piece of the pie, And so the very things that we cling to, he says, if you don't cling to those, he said, you set yourself up to inherit the whole, just simply by the joy and the peace and the clarity in one's own mental state. And he said that this righteous conduct uh, produces a result in your life, that you can see it. And upon dissolution of the body after death, if you should wish. Now, he said, if you should wish. Now, if I don't make a wish and I don't get it, I can't blame anybody, because I didn't even, purpose within myself that I wanted. Now, if there was a chance that there was something after this life, I would probably wish for it just in case it is. Since in my ignorance, I don't know for sure. I might wish that it was, so that if it is, I'm at least aligning my intentions with good fortune. That those, he said, who have perceived it here and now say is available. So he says, if I should wish, oh, that on the dissolution of the body after death, I might reappear in the company of the gods of the heaven of the four great kings, or in the company of the gods of the heaven of the 33, or in the company of the Yama gods, or in the company of the gods of the Tushita heaven, or in the company of the gods who delight in creating, or in the company of the gods who wield power over others' creations, or in the company of the gods of Brahma's retinue, or in the company of the gods of radiance, or in the company of the gods of limited radiance, or in the company of the gods of immeasurable radiance, or in the company of the gods of streaming radiance, or in the company of the gods of glory, or in the company of the gods of limited glory, the gods of immeasurable glory, the gods of fulgent glory, or the gods of the grapefruit, the Aviham gods, the Atapa gods, the Sudasa gods, the Sudasi gods, the Akanita gods, the gods of the base of infinite space, the gods of the base of infinite consciousness, the gods of the base of nothingness, and the gods of the base of neither perception nor non-perception. Now, what has he done? He's cut to the chase, and he said, if you want to get all the way there to the end, and the same way you have in a human society, you have in different classes and castes of people as put together by uh, um sometimes by uh, quality, but sometimes just by the determinations of the society, unenlightened. And then he starts to speak about the God realms, and they may function at a greater clarity, a higher vibration, you know. But he says in the end, they are still stuck in the cycle of rebirth, and still stuck in samsara. Then he teaches us the way out of it all. So how we can we can take the slow boat, or we can cut to the chase and uh, take the fast route, or the quick route, or the sure route. It's like going through the 5 stages of grief, you know. I mean, we can go through all 5, or we can go from the first and recognize I'm grieving and apply the Dharma to how to come out of grieving and go to the stage 5. We don't have to go through everyone. And he speaks of all of these different realms of increased virtue and consciousness, but still within the realms of samsara. And when he gets to the end of all of those, he talks about 4 states or 8 states, 4 in the fourth. And we know what that is, right? What is it? The jhanas. That's why I think it's egregious for us to tell householders you don't need the jhanas, because he tells the householders that they do. And he says, and then he gets to these last 4 states. Um, that's first, second, third, fourth jhana, and then within the fourth jhana, he speaks of the gods of the base of infinite space, infinite consciousness, the base of nothingness, and neither perception nor non-perception. And it says that it's possible that on dissolution of the body after death, that you will reappear in the company of those gods. Why is that? Because you, householder, observe conduct in accordance with the Dharma. And then he speaks of the last 2 even after the attainment of the jhanas. If you should wish, oh, that by realizing for myself with direct knowledge, I might here and now enter upon and abide in the deliverance of mind and deliverance by wisdom that are taintless with the destruction of the taints, it is also possible. And when this was said, the householder said, excellent, Master Gotama. You have made the Dharma clear in many ways, as though you were turning upright what has been overthrown, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the darkness for those with eyesight to see. And we go to you for refuge, and to the Dharma, and to the Sangha of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. From today, let Master Gotama accept us as lay followers who have gone to him for refuge, for life. Now, over in the great book, it speaks of possessing confidence in the Dharma and confidence in the Sangha. And it says that those who possess the virtues, dear, unbroken, leading to concentration. And when householders, and I'm through, the noble disciple possesses these 7 good qualities and these 4 desirable states. That's the jhanas, right? Mm-hmm. If he wishes, he could by himself declare of himself, I am one finished with hell. I'm finished with the animal realm. I'm finished with the domain of the ghosts, the petas, the hungry ghosts. I'm finished with the plane of misery. I'm finished with the bad destinations, the netherworld. I am a stream enterer, no longer bound to the netherworld, no longer fixed in destiny, with enlightenment as my destination. I recommend that you pull up these 2 suttas. You can find them in Access to Insight. Or if you have one of these big Samyutta Nikayas sitting on your book case, that you get it out and ponder. There's so much richness in these, and he breaks it down so simple. What we need to do. These these 10 behaviors of body, speech, and mind. Just working on that. And you notice that every one of them that you have to work on requires you to work on it in this body. So we're not out of it, but in this body, in relationship to others or in relationship to circumstances. And not many of them were like good circumstances. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe the greater blessing is like, for all the adversity to come to you, like, bring it on. Because it's there that we perfect ourselves and step out of the lineage of human beings and enter the lineage of the Buddhas, the awake ones. That's Sutta 41 in Majjhima Nikaya, and the great book in the Samyutta, book 5, paragraph 7, around page 1800. That's easy. This book is kind of difficult the way they classify things, define things. So I usually give a page number. It's on page 190, 1796 to 1799. So count it all joy when you enter into diverse temptations, when you're challenged by things in the world, things of your own making, whether it is or whether it's not. It said that we can learn to just take on accountability for the present moment. And then no need to blame somebody else and get mad because they don't agree with you. Yeah. There's a practice that we have in the Vajrayana, rolling all blames into one. Rolling all blames into oneself. That's where the argument ends. When we can do that. That's where the peace can begin. Yeah. It's where the fretting ceases. Because believe it or not, we love ourselves more than we think we do. May you be well and happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you and no danger. May you always be able to meet the inevitable difficulties of life. No, I forgot to put the mic on. Could they hear me?
Oh, yeah, it was.
Thank you.